Hey, the question is, how do you make a spoke with a Spokeshave? The answer coming up. There are a couple different ways you could take this piece of square stock and turn it into a spindle or a spoke. One of those is we could put it on a lathe and chuck it up in a lathe and spin it down. Boring. I would much rather go to a shaving horse with the Spokeshave and use that. One, it gives us the opportunity to research shaving horses and make a really nice shaving horse. And two, I got to go see Amos John out in St. Charles, Minnesota, and buy this cool cast iron tractor implement seat to put on it so it's comfortable. So I like doing it with the shave horse here. We're going to take our stock, square as it is, and then what I want to do is, let's say I'm going to make this a table leg, and I'm going to take this end and I'm going to put it into the leg on a table, so it's going to be a spindle. Well, I want to know basically how small I need to make that. So I'm going to get my compass out here and I'm just going to trace out the diameter that I want. In this case, it's 3/4 of an inch. I checked that out and set my caliper to show that 3/4 of an inch. So there I've got what's going to be my end product. That's the end of my spoke. With this particular Spokeshave, I've got my trough here. I've got my headpiece here. I simply slide it in there like this. And with my foot feet down here, I can go ahead and lock it in place. I'm going to take my Spokeshave. I'm going to draw it on there. I'm going to draw that corner off and get it right down to where I want to be. And something you'll notice here on the Spokeshave, if you look real close to this, on one end it's set up to take a real high cut. On the other end it's flush. I'm barely going to get a cut. So on this side I'm barely taking off anything. On this side I'm taking off a whole bunch. So if I got to mass a bunch of stock off there, I'm going to use this heavy side and really take it down quick. When I get to finishing it up and smoothing it off, I'm going to go to the other side and take off just that little bit. So I can go back and forth here, being mindful of the outline that I put on the end of it and going down to that. In this particular one, I want it to be a little fatter in the middle and tapered to the end. So I'm going to leave the center untouched until I get down to where I've got all the end down where I want it. And it doesn't take that long to do this, shaving all those corners off. And again, I'm taking off a lot of material just because of the way I've got my Spokeshave set up. And obviously it is genuine sharp. So it's doing a great job. And I'm watching my end here to see where I am in terms of getting round. You can see I'm coming right up to the lines there. I'm going to take my feet off, take the pressure off the head, rotate it, 1/4 of a turn, go back in there, take off some more. Again, we're going to get it right down to that line. Getting real close there. I'm going to turn it again. I'm going to switch to a different Spokeshave just to show you something a little bit different. This is something that is late 1800s, maybe mid 1800s. Wooden body, nice cutter here, brass face on to keep it from. That'll do exactly the same thing. So this is how they would have done this 150 years ago. I've got it set up for a pretty shallow cut. It's not taking a whole lot off of there. Gets the job done just as well. So let's go back to a heavy cut. With this one, expedite the process a little bit. See how we're coming along with our line on there? Getting it where we want. We're pretty close to around there. So what I can do, if I want to, I can switch over to a round Spokeshave. Make those facets on there a little bit less of an issue. Clean it up a little bit. Again, getting back to my line here. Finishing it off like that. And that's probably about as close as I need to get it for now. Obviously, I can clean it up more before I go into installing this spindle on my leg, my chair leg. And there we have the end of our spindle. If I was going to turn around and do the opposite end, simply reverse the process here, go down to the other end, do exactly the same thing. And you'll notice again, I'm leaving the center a little fat here because I don't want my spindle to be perfectly round and flat. I want it to start out narrow, have a little bit of a bulbous center, and then come back down to the other end. So I'm going to leave that center in place until I get both of my ends done. And you notice we're taking it from square corners all the way down to round. We'll do the same thing. We'll switch over to the next facet. Now, if I had a great big piece of stock in here, I would get out a draw knife and bulk it out with a draw knife. It loads up pretty quick. Obviously, the grain's a little twitchy in this particular piece of wood, so we're coming up against the grain a little bit. Makes it a little bit of a challenge, so we'll switch and take off less material. Go to our last facet. Then something I can use on a pretty regular basis. If I know that the hole that this spoke or spindle has to go in is a certain diameter, I can set a caliper up to whatever that dimension is. And while I'm doing this, I can go across, I can make sure that I'm going to fit in there by checking my diameter with the calipers. So I know exactly where I need to end up. That's how you're going to make a spindle. You know, I've obviously clean all the rest of this up and get down to where I need it to be. Makes for a pretty cool way and a pretty enjoyable way to make a spoke with a spoke shave.